All right, good morning. It is another Monday, back with Coffee Chronicles. Today we're talking about injuries and recovery and some thoughts around that because, well, it's been on my mind as of late. And first thing would be I've been hurt before, and if you're someone else who has, you know how mentally challenging that can be for you, especially if you're someone who's into CrossFit or into working out. All of a sudden you get hurt or whatever that slows you down and prevents you from training the way you want to train. It can be very mentally taxing. But what I have found is a couple things I'll share with you that I think really need to be moved to the forefront. And then also reframing our way of thinking to continue moving forward and not just wade in these deep waters of negative energy. So first off, if you do get hurt, right, identifying the problem doesn't have to be so complicated. Obviously, yes, you can go to, and you may need to go through some more steps to identify the root cause of the problem. But oftentimes what I've found with myself and with other members is sometimes we have this false sense of security and just wanting to know exactly what's wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes if you're so consumed on knowing exactly what's wrong, you forget to lose track of the thing that really matters is what can you still do and do safely and potentially pain-free and not have an excuse. Because oftentimes if people get hurt, maybe, okay, let's just say, I tweaked my shoulder. All right, well, hurt my shoulder. I can't do anything else. Like I can't use my legs anymore. I can't ride the bike. I can't do abs. I can't use my other arm. All right, I can't squat. I can't do anything. Like, we start to get in this like can't mindset and this negative thing versus just focusing on what you can do, right? While you move through the process of identifying an issue. Okay. Now, even if you don't have the issue identified exactly, right? This is my thing is maybe I did tweak my shoulder. Okay. Maybe I can bench press with zero pain. Maybe I can do pull-ups with zero pain. But when I go to do an overhead press with my hand in the front rack, like a barbell position, I have no strength there. I have pain. But when I turn my hand like this, like a dumbbell position, elbow forward, all of a sudden my pain's gone. Well, guess what? Now I just found 3 different things. I can bench press. I can shoulder press with a neutral grip. I can do any pull-ups, right? So, there's a lot of things you can do, but you have to be willing to work around and not be so like, oh, it says barbell shoulder press on the whiteboard. I have to do that, right? And not be afraid to scale or modify or adjust the workout as needed to get the stimulus you need and to get anything, right? Movement is medicine. A little bit of motion will help you heal, put blood in the area, help you recover. And sure, there might be something you need to identify. But I always tell people like, okay, great. If the MRI reported this, or the X-ray reported this, or whatever, the imaging, or the doctor said this, what are you going to do about it? Right? You're just going to have surgery? You're always going to just go have surgery? It's not always the first, nor should it be the first, or is it maybe the best option? Now, again, that still might be required and sometimes is the best option. But I really think it's important that you exercise a lot of other things first before you do that, if needed, right? Again, it depends on the severity and stuff like that, but hopefully you get what I'm putting down is you need to focus on what you can do. You need to move your body without pain and focus on, again, getting what you can out of these things and not being so glued to the idea that you have to do it a certain way. Like, oh man, I can't. I'll just give another CrossFit example. Like, man, I just really want to do bar muscle ups, but for some reason, bar muscle ups are hurting my shoulder. But ring muscle ups are pain free. Okay, sounds like, but the workout says bar muscle ups. It's like, well, it's okay. Do ring muscle ups, right? There's 1,000,001 examples just like that where the smallest tweak is not going to be the difference in you accomplishing your goals. Especially most of our members and other members across the gyms across the world, their goal doesn't evolve around like a performance competition style thing. So we talked about the movement as medicine, doing what you can, not being so consumed on what you can't do. The other part of this real quick I want to touch on is just the prevention side of it. Okay. There's a lot of things, let me preface this with, I have members all the time. I shouldn't say all the time. I have a few members who seem to want more. They think the answer for everything in the world is more intensity, more load, more high skill, right? Train harder, come to the gym. If once a day is not doing it, 2 days will do it. And that's not always the case, right? And oftentimes I'm actually very reluctant to make things harder or to program high skill things or heavy load things. Yes, those things all have their place, but it's kind of an art and honestly very challenging thing to do, is to program it appropriately to where people keep themselves in check. Because oftentimes it's very, very rare, it seems, that people that are wanting or have this mindset of like, and good on them, they're hard workers, right? I'm not knocking the hard work, but if you think beating yourself into the ground once a day is not doing it, well, I just need more. I'll beat myself into the ground 2 times a day or with more intensity, right? Hammering myself every single day. Again, that's not the answer. And most oftentimes, those people need to focus on the other things that would allow them to recover better and to train harder. So being the person that might be wanting 2 a days, or hates when say Joe, let's use Joe. Joe wants to work out and he wants to do a high intensity workout like Fran or something every single day because he feels good when he feels tired. But Joe's sleeping 6 hours a night, some nights less, right? That's not a recipe for success. So things like sleeping 8 or more hours, and maybe you don't get 8 hours, but sleeping more than you do now is going to help your body recover, help you put on muscle, help injuries heal, like the micro injuries and everything else heal. Okay. Eating enough food. I can't say this enough. So people get so consumed on losing weight, right, that they're afraid to eat food. And oftentimes what we found is if you eat more food, one, you're going to heal better because you're providing the nutrients to the muscles in the body that it needs to repair and to rebuild. You're going to put on more muscle and you're actually going to lose fat. But people get so caught up, again, that's kind of like this extreme, like they think more workouts and less food. And they think that's going to be the recipe to get them success. And that is not the case. So sleep, nutrition, hydration falls into this. So are you drinking enough water, right? And then the other parts of that would be, I'm going to say mobility, right? Doing soft tissue work, foam rolling, lacrosse ball smash, stretching. So often people want like, hey, I want to do this movement. And they have such a gross mobility issue, like maybe with the shoulder or something, that until they establish an improved range of motion, it's maybe even a complete waste of time for them to really try that movement, right? They need to put it under load to gain range of motion and to increase mobility, but not a load that's like during the workout, right? It needs to be like after an afterthought or a pre-thought of like, I need to come into the gym, take some time to foam roll, take some time to stretch, get my body ready, or do some stretching, do some mobility at night, whatever, to where you can increase your range of motion, increase your flexibility, and get all that stuff improved to where you can hit it better the next day, right? I just saw a post and it was like, range of motion is like a credit score. It's like every evolving document. You have to continue to work on it. And if you don't work on it and neglect it, it's going to be bad, right? Mobility is the same way. You have to continually work on it. And so many people, they're like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, but they won't even do the simple stuff like stretch for 5 to 10 minutes a day, right? And that's not very much time. So we talked about sleep, hydration, nutrition, mobility. Those 4 things can't be neglected if you want to continue to move the needle. And in fact, they're probably more important than anyone possibly can realize. And then the other part of this is the programming, right? How we help you scale, how we help you modify, how we help you kind of control things by not overdoing it as well. A big thing I think ultimately comes down to like this mindset shift of there's a lot of tools on toolbox, but oftentimes the people that we find that get hurt or get burned out or stop getting results, they have this mindset like if you're a mechanic and you have a hammer and you think the cure for fixing this car is just go around and beat every single part on the car with the hammer, just hammer, you're probably not going to fix the car. You might fix one thing, but you're going to break 5 other things, right? There's a tool for every job. And that tool, again, is kind of how we can talk about different tools being your recovery methods, your nutrition methods, your programming and the way you're doing workouts. How many days a week are you including high intensity? How many days are you pushing heavy loads? Are you willing and reasonable and mature about making smart decisions about equipment substitutions? So anyway, that's kind of on my mind today. Hopefully this helps. If you like these, if you are getting any value out of these, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it. So appreciate it. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.